back over here in the studio, I'm joined by Bill Kaneko, who is a co-executive producer of the film Removed by Force. It's an upcoming documentary film that's set to air right here on Hawaii News Now. Bill, thanks for joining us.
Great, thanks for having me.
Now, this is a very important film, a very important story. Bill, tell us a little bit about what inspired Removed by Force.
Well, the documentary is really about what happened right after Pearl Harbor on December 7th. So as you know, there was the attack. The traditional story is that there are about 2,000 Japanese Americans who were interned at Sand Island and Honolulu. What the documentary tells about is the untold story of about some 1,500 Japanese Americans who were literally kicked out of their homes in 23 different sites all over the state. And they lived around these military bases like Pearl Harbor or Kahuku Airfield, Dillingham Airfield, but they were just literally kicked out, and it's a story that has not been told. And so the documentary really shares the plight of some 1,500 Japanese Americans.
Incredible, and we're looking at some images right here, but this is a project that has been very near and dear to your heart. And the research, tell us a little bit about what went into creating this film and bringing it to life.
Right, well, this happened, the cases happened about 30 years ago, and I actually was privileged to work on these cases with a bunch of young lawyers who worked with the Japanese Americans claimants. And ultimately, we prevailed with the United States government and ultimately got them some $30 million in redress compensation, some 50 years after they were displaced. So it's it's a kind of a very unique but happy story of persons really realizing and seeking justice.
Absolutely. Bill, now, we mentioned there's some air dates that are coming up here, and it will air over here on Hawaii News Now. November 12th is one of them, but what are other ways that people can see the film?
Well, it airs on November 12th, and there are additional screenings on Hawaii News Now and K5 on November the 18th and the 20th, and it's also going to be on the Hawaii News Now website. So folks can go in during the 12th and the 18th and see this on demand right here on Hawaii News Now channels.
Absolutely, and we were talking a little bit before we got rolling here on just my grandfather's memories of that time and that generation who actually witnessed Pearl Harbor take place. What is your hope, and you and the rest of the people who put so much aloha into this film, what do you hope that people take away once people see it?
Well, bottom line, our hope is that this kind of event does not happen again. You know, persons of Japanese ancestry were interned, they're evicted from their homes for reasons of race. It was solely based on discrimination, wartime hysteria, all that stuff that, you know, really our civil rights were deprived. Now, by doing these kinds of documentaries, sharing these stories, we hope that this kinds of, you know, fear and hysteria does not happen again in our nation's history.
Absolutely. And how do people get more information about the film?
Well, they can go on the Japanese American Citizens League website, jaclhonolulu.org, and there'll be links to the Hawaii News Now website and information about the screenings.
Okay, well, Bill, thank you so much for joining us here on the show and for really telling this story and bringing it to the rest of us here in Hawaii who need to know about it. Thank you.
Great, thank you so much.
And don't forget, we'll have this whole segment up at HiNowDaily.com. Removed by Force, it'll debut November 12th here on Hawaii News Now. We'll be right back.